Vikings, famously known for their short hair and baby smooth chins.
Just repeat to yourself, hey, it's just a show. I should really just relax. For mystery science theater 3000.
Today in Journey into Mystery,
Echo effect.
we have a lot of mysteries to unravel. Most of them, the answer is Corman.
Most of the mysteries I had involving this episode was remembering this episode exists.
It does not stick in the mind very much, no.
No.
Um,
Speaking of things to forget, we do a little bit of a light channel update, so to speak.
yes, go for it.
Well, I mean, just generally, this is not the only thing we're going to be doing. Things have been rough. They're better than they were at the beginning of the year,
Well, yeah.
but things are still, there are still issues we're working towards.
I'm still unemployed. Well, I guess self-employed at this point, according to all legal measures. But, yeah, I'm still keeping myself going on the kindness of others and 3D printing stuff.
And that eats up a lot of time and is a little more fruitful, I believe, at the moment.
Yeah, the time to the ROI on the 3D printing stuff is higher at this time. Um,
So, we are not giving up on the puppet-based stuff and the riffing or anything like that. It's just a little tricky right now.
Also, I've been having trouble sleeping, and it makes my shoulders all hurty, and that makes puppeteering really hard.
And throughout the summer, while the summer wasn't nearly as bad as it was, it still gets bloody hot even at night.
Mm-hmm.
Which when you're lugging around, a couple pounds of fur over your head.
Yeah, because you don't have central air, do you?
No,
You guys
no.
have like a window unit.
Yeah, we have a window unit in the bedroom, and then I've got like a fan in here, and that's not normally okay. But if I gotta close windows to, it's okay under normal circumstances. But I've got like all kinds of lights that I put on to get
Mm-hmm.
a decent look to this place on camera.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know that's greatly illustrates the difference between California and Oklahoma. Because you know what they call people who don't have central air in Oklahoma?
Dead.
The dearly departed. Yeah.
Well, apparently it didn't really need to be a thing this far, this close to the ocean, but So we're working on our stuff. So let's go back to the Viking women, and I've already forgotten the full title.
Oh, the thing is that the Mystery Science Theater doesn't even have the full title.
Well, yeah,
'Cause-
the full title is in the movie on a page.
yeah, but it's just ridiculously long. The full title is The Saga of the Viking Women and Their Voyage to the Waters of the Great Sea Serpent.
This, like I said, I'm not kidding when I said I had a very hard time remembering this. I remember precisely 3 elements to this episode, and only one of them is actually about the episode itself.
Okay, what are the 3 things you remember?
I remembered the waffle sketches because how do you forget the waffles?
Ah, yes, the waffle
We'll talk
sketches.
about that in a little bit, but I remembered the waffles. I remembered the short.
Mhm.
I never remembered what, I couldn't remember what episode it was attached to. I just remember the short because it was the first one on like I think it was back when Rhino had the
Right,
video
right.
rights. They got Tom Servo's favorite shorts, which is where they just put a bunch of the shorts for the movies they couldn't acquire the
Mm-hmm.
rights to, and that was the first one.
Right.
And then I remembered the callback, the I'm a Grimalt Warrior callback. And
Mm.
that's only because they referenced it in multiple episodes later.
Yeah, yeah. The
Otherwise, the movie has slid out of my head, and since I watched it, it has slid out of my head again.
this is a neuralizer film.
Yeah.
It's you watch it, then there's a flash and you forget everything that was in it. It was
The movie is not bad enough to be really entertaining. It's not good.
no, but it has a couple of points where it's kind of surprisingly competent.
Mm.
and then other points where it's like the only thing that managed to hold my attention through the whole thing was just the baffling nature of the setup. Um, but
These white Mongols kidnapped
oh,
a bunch of Vikings.
they were
Very
Mongols, were they?
erudite Mongols, too.
Because one of the questions I had is where the heck did they shipwreck?
Hmm.
Because it's like it's not in Europe, so I guess Mongols it is because they have the Mongol hats.
Hmm.
Um, but before we lay into the film proper, let's hit the short, I think, and then we can fully address the serpent.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Sure. I think this is one of the. I'm pretty sure this is one of the earlier societal conformity shorts they did, and on that measure, it's not anywhere as. I mean, I find the short entertaining. The rift of the short. The rift?
Oh, yeah, the rift.
The
The
riff of the short is entertaining enough. The short itself is honestly kind of benign.
Oh yeah, the short itself is just like, hey, do you enjoy your home economics class? Here are a series of related fields that might be good careers for you, which is actually
Yeah,
the
and
kind of stuff that you would hope schools would be showing kids.
yeah,
Um,
I would. I'll be honest. Looking back on it, I kind of wish I had some home ec options.
oh yeah, no, that's the removal of home economics from our curriculum was an intentional act of malfeasance, I'm sure. Um,
Yeah,
because I mean we didn't have much in the way of home ec, we didn't have much in the way of shop, any of those
we
types of
my high
things.
school had a shop, but I mean, even taking the gender roles thing out of it, man, I do kind of wish I had a few more home skills.
Yeah, and in regard to the gender roles thing of it, the fact that they're recommending all of these as careers to the women is surprisingly forward for a societal conformity short.
Yeah, they're actually careers. They only mentioned like twice. One of them was like, "Oh, she's a housewife now. Hooray!" That's fine if you want it.
Yeah, that's a perfectly if you're in a situation where you can have one parent or the other, one member of the household be a full time housekeeper or homemaker or whatever you want to call it,
Yeah,
and that's how you guys want to do it. Go for it. Perfectly legitimate way of forming a family.
yeah. No, that's where we're sitting at.
Yeah, and it's but on the other end, it's like if she likes cooking, maybe she'd like to be a chef.
Yeah.
But yeah, the it had funny riffing is one of the things. I really liked the riff on it. It was solid.
With
Um,
shorts, they tend to be very good at mining for dark.
hmm
I don't know why it is, but even like I said, the fact that this is another season 3, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're even when the movie is kind of middling, somehow the shorts brought out the best in them.
hmm And speaking of the short, was this perhaps not originally the short that was going to be on this film?
Oh yeah, the because of the Willy the Waffle.
Yeah, the Willy the Waffle is very clearly a Springy the Spring Sprite reference.
Coily the Spring. Yeah, actually I think it was mentioned in on the website when the Sci-Fi Channel season was new,
hmm
and then they got to the Coily. They actually got to that. They said that yeah, we'd considered it, but for whatever reason we didn't do it, so we brought it back.
Mm.
Why would you not do that one, I wonder?
Yeah,
I probably should have researched this, but I picked up Dead Cells on Steam, and that's kind of been eating up most of my time, and I wasn't sure I really wanted to think about this episode too much.
yeah, it can only bring you boredom. It can't even bring you pain.
No.
It's like it's the equivalent of like when they put you in when somebody gets put in like solitary and they remove like all their shoelaces and stuff. That's what this movie is. Four gray walls and a slightly lighter gray ceiling.
I don't blame them for doing all the sketches about waffles because this movie gives you nothing.
Yeah, and
I don't quite get why though. I mean, I will admire the commitment to the joke.
Hmm.
I'm I think it works only about half the time.
Yeah, yeah,
Like the Willy the Waffle sketch is really funny right up to the end where it just kind of falls over because they apparently couldn't think of an ending,
yeah,
which kind of seems a thing.
yeah,
And it's certainly a case where Joel's issues with line reads actually works in his favor.
yeah, yeah. He comes across particularly baffled in a couple of places, as I recall.
Mm,
See, it's even harder for me because I didn't watch this just like today, like I normally do, where it'll be fresh. I watched it a week ago when we were originally going to do the record, but I wasn't feeling well,
yeah.
and so it's a little fuzzy. But
This one isn't giving us a lot. This may be a short one.
well, I have some things where we can talk about Corman,
Oh, okay. Well,
and
let's go into the movie first. I will
right,
say I did my usual watch on two screens, one uncut, one mystery science cut,
hmm,
and it was something that they had mentioned in the book. The bluing of the movie, the changing the tone so it's not a straight grayscale and giving it a blue tint,
yes,
really does help the silhouettes come out a lot better.
right, right.
That honestly was one of the best calls the show ever made. Because particularly early on, like the first two seasons, I think they had some issues with the silhouettes really getting lost.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. One thing I will say for this film is it has a couple of things that are uh, surprisingly adept. Um,
It's a competent film. It's not a
right.
good film, but it's a competent film.
I mean, it is showing that Corman was very clearly trying to do a low budget epic.
Yeah,
Um,
something's a serious epic
right. The problem with that is that it mostly winds up being a lot of people talking in a cave.
with the
Um,
occasional bad fight
with
sequence
the
that
occasional
goes
bad fight
nowhere.
sequence. And I have to say, I like the sea serpent puppet.
The sea serpent puppet actually, and even the the rear projection that they do.
Oh yeah, the rear projected water was very well done. The rear projected storm. Yeah.
Yeah, everything works really well up until it grabs the boat in its mouth and shakes it, and it's very clearly,
Yeah.
and at that point it just looks like a sock puppet.
Yeah. And it's funny because I was thinking about it because they make the joke. They make the callback. I'm a coming beanie boy.
Oh yeah, you
And
gotta.
so many people aren't going to get that gag because they never saw like I used my exposure to Cecil the C6 sea serpent was at when my dad would go to the gym. They had a little daycare there, and like one of the three tapes that they would play forever was a combination of puppet and animated uh, uh, Cecil and
I,
Beanie.
I remember catching it sometimes in syndication when I was in daycare, and none of us were really keen on it, so we tended to change the channel to something else.
I remember finding it remarkable that they had this character who was supposed to be a sea serpent who was played by a puppet in the live action stuff, and they went through a lot of effort to make the animated adventures of Cecil still make him look like a puppet.
Hmm.
It's like he's still like they did nothing to turn him into an actual creature. No, it was just yeah, it's the puppet, but now it's a cartoon. Like had
Well, I mean, you wouldn't really want to change the Muppets outside of a puppet-based context, would you?
no, you typically wouldn't maintain the seam lines though.
No, that's true.
Yeah, because most Muppets you can still see the very faint seam down the middle where they have to do the stitching, no matter how good their Henson stitch is.
Hmm.
If you're looking for it, you can still see it, except in like the ones like the Kermits and stuff where they are working really hard to make sure that you don't. But like even like 70s Kermit, if you can get a high enough resolution picture, you can still see the seam a little bit. Um, that's just me as a puppet builder.
I tell you what, though, I did laugh my ass off at the longboat cloud image.
Mm-hmm.
That was just, I mean, that was almost Hanna-Barbera cartoonish in its. Yes, you can see a sign. Look, it's a lot, and it is a very elaborate cloud.
Oh, what's baffling about the movie is that you're like they say they're Vikings, but they don't dress anything at all like Vikings,
Yeah,
like you pointed out.
yeah. None of them look like Vikings. In
Not
aside from maybe some, unless you go ascribe to the incorrect theory that all of them are blonde.
Yeah, yeah. There were a lot of blondes. I mean, you'd still have a lot of most of them would appear blonde because it was actually bleaching.
Hmm.
That's why Vikings had a reputation for being blonde. You know the in-depth grooming regimens that they went through.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that they did was they had a hair treatment that they used because they didn't exactly have shampoo,
Yeah.
and it had a natural bleaching effect. So the very fastidious maintenance of the beards and the hair, they would be rubbing this material through, and over time it would bleach them blonde.
Hmm.
So that's actually probably the most accurate thing because probably none of those women were actually blonde, but uh, they naturally bottle blonde just like real Vikings. Um, but
And
like
perfectly coiffed.
yeah, I don't know what his actual name was. It sounded like Todd, and I'm just gonna roll with it. The weenie that's with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Todd is completely beardless. I do not believe at any point he has chewed on a hallucinogenic mushroom to improve his battle prowess. Um,
I'm not sure he has the proper teeth for chewing yet. How does he hide on a 20-foot boat?
I don't know. Maybe
Like,
he looked like a
like,
dead halibut. Uh,
I guess. I mean, because, the boat is maybe 20 feet long and he's having an in depth conversation. Look, somebody's going to notice.
well, yeah, there's that. But the movie
I
is
mean, then I realize in the next scene everybody knows he's there because, of course, but still, I mean,
yeah.
at what point did they leave their boat unattended?
Yeah, yeah. No, it's and his whole job is to basically be there to almost do something and then get a
Do the action sequences for the women.
yeah.
Mind you, he fails at every one of them, except at the very end, when for some reason he gets to kill the sea serpent.
Yeah. There is a point where I recall he did buckle swash pretty well. They were doing
Hmm.
the one where he's bouncing around and it's a little Errol Flinny, a lot of dodging and rolling when he's fighting like a couple of Mongols until he gets knocked out like a bitch. Just
Hmm.
crumples like somebody going up against Tyson. But as long as he kept it when he kept his feet moving, he was doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Just got a glass jaw.
They sure seem to lose a bunch of people at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Also, this seems to be a tiny village if all the women are, of that one age. And
Yeah,
what I'm saying is this movie doesn't make a lot of sense.
yeah, because it's like I guess they're finding Mongols. Maybe one of the other things is that it's very obvious that the girls come across like they've wandered through a dimensional portal from a teenage hot rod flick, and that's probably for good reason. But yeah, it's like the whole thing is like the whole thing boils down to a gender swapped traditional rescue story where the women are going to save the men, and also Betty and Veronica in the 14th century. Because the evil girl is, of course, she's brunette because the evil girl is
Of
always
course.
brunette. Um,
And she's a dark one.
a dark one, yeah, and she's extra catty. She was
You would think that the catty blonde from before would be the villainess.
Oh yeah, you'd think,
And she
but
just kind of disappears.
yeah, but yeah, the whole thing is like when we rescue, the whole thing has this like really middle schooly kind of well once I come to the rescue, the hot boy will like me. It's like, but he's in a committed relationship with what's her face, and she's clearly the protagonist. Kind of set your sights on somebody else, maybe not Todd, obviously, but somebody.
The rescue plan seems vague. Like I don't remember them saying that they were following a fishing path or a route of any sort. They just kind of push off into the sea and I guess wander and hope. I mean, how big can the ocean be?
Oh yeah, well they went that away. I mean that's all you need.
Yeah.
That away.
I mean, I suppose it's pretty lucky that they just happened to wander into the same not Mongol tribe that their men did.
Oh yeah. Oh well. Also, just how did they wind up in Mongolia?
The Southern California part of Mongolia.
Oh yeah, because they're definitely in Monument Valley. Let's see, they would have been in Norway, so they would have had to have gone. They would have to have gone north, around the North Cape, and then would have had to have landed somewhere in what is now modern Russia.
Hmm. I mean, aside from the general suspect geography, I mean, they did the thing where it's like, no, these Mongols invaded and took the slaves and made the men build this hut. What?
Oh yeah,
This was,
because
we had a Viking set, but we needed Mongol bad guys, so we needed to justify Viking in multiple pairs of air quotes.
yeah, I mean this is clearly like I can just imagine Corman coming across. Oh my God! You know what I just found on the back lot? There's a perfectly good half of a Viking boat that they just threw away. We're making a film.
We have access to a Viking-ish set. Let's do this.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it.
The
Now,
the young ones method of script writing, which I got to bring up. We've been watching Thunder in Paradise recently, and it's obvious that they script episodes with exactly that in mind. We have access to Disney's Epcot Center, so let's do a scene with a vague Pakigistan. Yeah, and we'll use the stunt show set for a sequence. That'll work. That won't be transparently obvious at all.
yeah, yeah.
We have access to we have access to a bunch of Revolutionary War reenactors. Let's use that. And I'm gonna fight on the side of the Confederacy, brother.
Well,
Shocking nobody.
well, that's how Little Shop of Horrors happened. Is it was a set from something else that they had 11 days before it was torn down, and they hammered out a script and filmed it in 11 days.
It is a perfectly valid method of making entertainment. Like I said, the young ones did it to great effect. But then
Oh,
again, that show didn't bother with consistency or continuity or
yeah,
reality.
yeah, and
So if they had access to an elephant, use an elephant for the gag, goddammit. We are really trying not to talk about this movie.
yeah. Well, that you have to expect that when you make 9 movies in the year 1957,
Oof.
which is what Corman did. There are 9 movies that he made in 1957.
Woof.
Carnival Rock, The Saga of the Viking Women and Their Voyage to the Waters of the Great Sea Serpent, Sorority Girl, Teenage Doll, Rock All Night, The Undead, Attack of the Crab Monsters, Not of This Earth, and Naked Paradise. All directed by Corman in the year 1957.
Yowza. I'm glad you did research for this one because I couldn't be bothered this time.
And you know how I mentioned that it seems like those girls just wandered off the set from a teenage movie?
How many of them are in each of those various movies? All of
Of
them?
the main cast, there are 6 people who were in multiple Corman movies in that year.
Hmm.
Uh, Abby Dalton, who was the main blonde heroine, I forget her character name, was in Carnival Rock, Rock All Night, Teenage Doll, and in the Viking movie. And I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure that the Viking movie was probably made between Teenage Doll and Sorority Girl, because there are 4 actors who were in this that were in Teenage Doll and 3 that were in Sorority Girl.
A fair assumption, assuming he wasn't working on two at once.
Well, it's entirely possible that he was working on several of these at once, but yeah, the main share the 2 movies that share the most actors with this are Teenage Doll and Sorority Girl. The
Hmm.
most prolific actor in Corman was Jonathan Hayes, who was in Carnival Rock, Rock All Night, This, Not of This Earth, and Naked Paradise.
And that's just this year.
That's just in 1957.
Because I remember that name from other Corman productions.
Yeah, yeah. Most of them only did 2 Cormans in a year, 3 Cormans in a year, including this one. Jay Sawyer, Richard Devon, Susan Cabot, and June Kenny all did that. And then Abby Dalton was in 4 of them, and then this Jonathan Hayes guy was in 5. Now, there was one guy who was only in 1 of them that was interesting because his name, this is a gentleman named Michael Forrest, and he's interesting. Pull up his Internet Movie Database entry, and because he's actually someone that our audience might know, because he's the guy on the thing that has a hojillion things in his Internet Movie Database entry.
Hmm.
He was Zarko in this. I don't remember who Zarko was, but that's the character's name.
Buh.
In addition to being in having an appearance on Gilligan's Island and Bonanza and a whole bunch of stuff like that, just little bit roles throughout, he's in a crack ton of anime.
Hmm.
Yup. And he's been characters on Power Rangers. He's been in, let's see, Armitage 3, Dot Hack Infection, Dot Hack Mutation, Final Fantasy 11, The Big O, where he's Alex Rosewater.
Hmm.
Let's see. Let's see.
He's had a pretty good career.
Yeah, he was in Ninja Scroll. Yeah, he's like, if you were into anime in the '90s, you heard this dude's name. You
Hmm.
heard this dude's voice. Like, period. You couldn't have avoided it. Like,
Interesting.
God, he was in Samurai Champloo,
Huh.
Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. And this dude was born in 1929. His most recent entry is from 2019.
He's still alive and working. Let's see. I'm seeing 4 Mobile Suit Gundams.
He's literally 90.
Oh,
It-
he was in one of the Lupin movies.
yeah, I think we found the person who, like, I always refer to Corman as a star maker, because he gives all these people these early roles that got them going. Because, like,
Yeah.
Corman's responsible for Jack Nicholson being in movies. Like, some of Jack Nicholson's early stuff was Corman.
He's in the Star Trek Continues web series.
Great googly
Dirty
moogly.
Pair. Kashan Robot Hunter. Jeez.
Yeah, no, like,
And I
just
can't remember who the hell this guy was in Viking Women.
yeah. I think he was the villain. I mean, from the
Huh.
name, because, like, I mean, his name is in that is Zarko. That's not a hero's name.
No, no. Zarko. Yeah, I can only assume he's the main villain, and he's got that I mean, he's got that very blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I can actually hear it if he's got that kind of sophisticated tone to everything. Wow.
And
Okay, now that I'm skimming IMDb, let's see where I recognize Jonathan Hayes from. Oh, It Conquered the World.
yeah, Jonathan Hayes is
Teenage Caveman. He was the curly-haired boy.
yeah, he is a Corman alum and a whole lot of Mystery Science Theaters.
Gunslinger. He was Jake.
Oh
Huh.
yeah, you know where else you're gonna know him from? Little Shop of Horrors. He was the original Seymour,
Huh.
and he was in an episode of the Angry Beavers.
Sure, why not?
Sure.
Yeah, I will say something I've got in my notes that the it was quite a coincidence that I started watching this right when the feral hogs thing became a meme on Twitter.
Uh,
I mean, they only have one feral hog, but it was attacking someone's kid in the yard, so, you know.
oh God, and that dude was such a weenie. The
Oh yeah, we see he's a villain, so he needs to be a fet.
well, what's
That's how you know they're bad. They're gay coded.
well, what's weird is that like they seem to be setting him up for a redemption arc because he's like not as hostile to the women and kind of helps them out a little bit.
Yeah, he's like, okay, you help me. Okay, maybe I should let it go. And yeah,
And it seems like a thing where like they're gonna set him up. Maybe he's gonna hook up with the dark-haired wicked girl. Redeem both of them. Leave with them to go back to their home. That type of thing. Because clearly, but no, he just kill him.
they just kind of left that plot point on the roof of the car and drove away.
Yeah, it's like, oh wait, we never got around to writing those scenes. Just kill him off.
Let's have God kill him
Yeah, God'll strike him dead with lightning.
after God saves our heroes because we can't really have anything. So yeah, sure.
Deus ex machina.
Oh yes, Corman gave me a very important role early on.
Oh,
Also, let's the I don't remember what episode it was, but there was a joke that Tom made. It wasn't the Vikings in this movie don't Vike very well. It wasn't this one; it was a later one. But the point remains: these are some terrible Vikings.
oh. Speaking of Tom Servo, Tom did drop one joke that killed me and that I love just on the basis of its reference. Is that
Hit it.
he does the there's the section when they're in the ship and at 7 p.m. the good cook came on deck and said, "Ladies, it's been good to know ya." So he makes multiple references to the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, which is my favorite Gordon Lightfoot song. But and yes, I'm familiar with enough Gordon Lightfoot songs that I have a favorite.
That you actually have a favorite.
Yeah.
Now, in the realm of cuts, there was actually a cut. I was a little surprised because this movie's only just barely an hour long,
Yeah, I mean
credits and all.
it went with a hefty short. I mean, the short's
Yeah,
almost as long as the movie.
but no, there is a cut, and it was a smart cut because it's another classic Corman walking scene.
Oh yeah.
After the little sister sneaks out, we have a long sequence. Like, this is a couple minutes of her walking back to the cave where the men's are being kept.
Mm.
And there is a action sequence where there's a singular guard guarding the Viking men's. And of course the guard is asleep because that's what guards do. You make sure to put your sleepiest guard all alone to guard your captives.
Yeah, I always attribute that to just a failure of capitalism. They're
Well,
unwilling.
yeah, but that's, we attribute everything to a failure of capitalism, and it's usually true. And smash the state.
Yeah, because it's like clearly they're not paying the guy enough that he has to do something else during the day. So he's always sleepy when he's supposed to be on guard duty.
Yeah. But yeah, we get this action sequence where she bonks him with a rock and then takes his keys and frees the. And we cut, and that was right at a commercial, so they cut right to her freeing the men's, which is a
That's smart.
fair cut. Although it does, again, the Vikings aren't very good because their arms are more or less free. They have a rock in hand that they're trying to bash the chains open with. And part of me is sitting there thinking, why don't you just throw the rock and beam the guard? Well, okay, maybe you can't then reach the keys and then you're going to get killed when they come and notice that you don't have. But just.
These aren't very smart, almost Mongols. They you would
I
think.
just kind of feel like a real Viking would think, you know what? Fuck it. I would rather take some people with me and die.
Well, the thing is if these idiots can't escape from these guys, are they really worth saving?
Yeah. There's probably a good reason we don't see the rest of the village. They all ran away. They went and formed a better village
The rest of the
with
village
better
is probably
Vikings.
just going, you know what? You know, we got rid of a whole bunch of our idiots. I say we mark this one in the win column and just go with it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
sadly we couldn't get rid of Todd, but he's pretty harmless.
yeah. It's little swirl of Clorox in the gene pool there. Um, you know, but well, they also like, admittingly, like again, this is a gray melange of a movie, but does Todd mention why he wants to go? Is it just like his patriotic duty, or is he trying to show off?
I think he's trying to prove himself to be a man's. I think that's why he goes, to prove himself. Also, I think he has a crush on one of the girls, which doesn't really seem to go anywhere.
Well, I mean, yeah. Hey, at least good on him for not, pushing the matter during an important situation when other shit's going down. Most of your action
Yeah, that's
heroes
true.
they get unduly tied up in their romantic subplots when the world's at stake, or there's
Hmm.
hostages to be rescued. You can save that shit for later.
Yeah,
Um,
Flash. I mean, I love you, Flash, but we've only got 14 hours to save the Earth.
yeah, priorities, man.
Yeah,
Also, relationships forged in high stress situations rarely last. Basic statistics.
that's why high school sweethearts usually break up.
That's why. That's probably why Tom Baker's marriage to Lala Ward didn't work out. Because if you listen to them talk about making Doctor Who at that time, it was a high stress situation.
Now, something else, something I am going to give this movie because I am honestly a little surprised they didn't do this.
hmm
At least the Mongols weren't dudes in yellowface.
Yeah, they just seem to be dudes.
Yeah, they're just kind of your average thug, caveman-y thugs, but with, they give the leader a light dusting of Mongoli vibe with the hat
hmm But I
bought from a
mean,
party store.
they're as much Mongols as like the Klingons were, like the OG '60s Klingons.
I'd say they were less than.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah, that's actually a point. Yeah, they're a little bit
Yeah,
less
like I mean,
Mongol.
there's not there's they are the whitest Mongols.
Well, you see, that's the thing is like I was like, are they supposed to be Mongols? Are they Russians? Did they wind up landing in Rome somehow? And they're just bad with costuming. Are these Germans? It's never well established where they are.
Yeah, they're Grimalts, which is Grimalt is not a very that's a very European name. I don't know.
Wait, I think it might actually be a like. Uh, oh no, no. The only reason that any mentions of Grimald exist on the web appears to be due to Marco Grimald, who was a Chilean Olympic volleyball player. Um,
Hmm.
let's see. Maybe if I type Grimald Place. See, no, that just shows where Marco Grimald was born.
Grimaldi. House of Grimaldi is associated with the history of the Republic of Genoa, Italy. No?
So
I don't know.
basically, they
It's
wind
Corman.
up.
It's Corman. We're probably overthinking this.
Oh, we're definitely overthinking this. I mean, Corman made 9 movies that year. How much thought do you think he put into the one with the ridiculously long name?
Yeah.
9.
And honestly, this I don't know. This doesn't have Corman's usual bombast, I guess. It does have a lot of talky, but it's not the kind of deep talky you're used to with a Corman.
This one does seem like it was probably one of the filler ones.
Mm-hmm. I feel like somebody else had a little more to do with this was somebody else's dream project, and Corman was just kind of, you know what, sure.
Yeah, I just did the math. Basically, each of these movies had about 40 days.
I mean, I seem to remember that was pretty much Corman's thing. He could crank it out in, what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, which is remarkable because, like, this was back when editing was a really painfully long process.
It was the actual physical act of cutting the film.
Mm-hmm.
Physically snipping the film.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All of the terms that that we use, cut and so forth, were literal at the time. Nowadays, they're about as accurate as as everyone going like, why is there a vending machine for the save button? That was the best one, is like that I've seen on like what the diskette icon is by people who are too young to know what diskettes were. So apparently in Japan it looks like they have the wide like vending machines.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think it's a vending machine with a cola dispensed.
No, I've seen similar, yeah.
Hey, look, someone 3D printed the save icon. And I just crumble into dust. Just like a scene out of Indiana Jones. Just instantly age into nothing. Oh, man.
So we've been talking a lot about the movie, a little more about the mystery song. Like I said, this is smack in season 3 where I don't want to say they're coasting, but it doesn't quite feel like they're trying.
Yeah,
like they make a rock lobster joke when the dragon shows up, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
And like I said, you've got your wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald thing, which is, there's bound to be something. I did like, when Zarkon or Jerkoff or whatever his name is shows up, and Crow's just like, sorry, my poodle died, and Corman didn't want to waste anything, so. But yeah, I don't know. Just I had so few lines stuck out to me in this one.
Yeah, it was not a fantastic...
And part of that is the movie's fault. Fair's fair.
Yeah, I mean, the neuralization of process affects, like, the meals I've had around watching this movie. But...
like I said, there was the weak ending of the Willy the Waffle sketch.
Mm-hmm. One thing that it did, that there were a lot of jokes that were a little flat. The one that kind of annoys me, because I'm just kind of sick of it, was the ancient Chinese secret, reference.
Yeah, I don't remember that being in this one, but again, a week ago when it was hard to remember after an hour.
Cleanup's a breeze, and when they're doing the invention exchange, and they have the waffle iron, and he says cleanup's a breeze, and then Tom goes ancient Chinese secret,
oh yeah.
Because that's not just a hacky reference to a commercial very few people would remember. Even then, it was an old commercial even then. But it has nothing to do with what they're talking about.
Yeah, that was kind of one of the things they did a lot then. Like, I don't mind obscure and obtuse references at all,
Hmm.
but they kind of lean on them and keep coming back to them a lot.
And some of them it works, but like Ancient Chinese Secret and Wango Z Tango seem really forced all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I freely admit I will throw out a cinnamon toast crunch, without provocation.
Yeah,
I fully understand being committed to a joke that is only marginally funny to anybody who is not yourself.
right. But at least with the cinnamon toast crunch thing, you do kind of tend to turn it around into an anti-humor thing, where the
Hmm.
the point of the joke is the fact that it doesn't fit. It's like doing a Russian reversal in a complete that produces nothing but gibberish.
Yeah.
Because that's mine is the in blank in Soviet Union blank blanks you. That's
Yeah.
my terrible joke that I will not let die. My Yakov Smirnov. Um, it, the joke format, which has just simply become the Russian reversal. Yeah.
I don't know if I've put this out there, but I am half convinced that Yakov Smirnoff became Tommy Wiseau.
You know what? I see no reason
I mean,
why
think
that
of
would.
it. What a country, Mark. Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's like I see no reason to support that on a factual basis, but it has a certain emotional reality. Yeah.
it feels right. Yakov Smirnoff disappears. He wasn't Russian. He just kind of vaguely Eurostanian.
Yeah, it's
He shows up again. In Mother Russia, she did not hit you. Ha 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 ha. Oh, hi, Mark.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, the cuz dude, it's
I'm
clearly not
about to
Russian.
blow the lid off this.
Yeah, no, you've uncovered a deep reality there. And, it's like I think what I'll do in this case is I'm just going to play the game cuz like no one's ever been able to describe to me what the word spiritual means. So, if it means nothing, it can mean anything. And so, on a spiritual level, I believe that Yakov Smirnov and Tommy Wiseau are the same person. That
You
is
heard
a
it here first.
yeah. This is a sincerely held belief. Um, whatever that means.
Hashtag Yakov Wiseau.
Have you ever seen them in the same place? I thought not.
See, I consider that proof.
Yeah.
Right there.
And it's only now that I just realized just how ridiculous the have you ever seen Superman and Clark Kent in the same place? Why would you? It's like saying like have you ever seen your local TV reporter and Bob the Builder in the same place? The, Forgiving the fact that Bob the Builder is fictional, they don't move in the same circles.
One little thing about this episode that kind of struck me at the very end, the waffle song. I don't remember seeing the bouncing ball before.
Huh.
It was a weird effect seeing that. I don't know why. I can't describe why it was so weird, but it's just not something that they've really done before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember it in any other sketches. And I don't want to say it feels too high-tech for Mystery Science because it absolutely is not too high-tech for Mystery Science.
No, they were doing follow the bouncing ball on TV shows in the 50s.
Yeah, it's just an effect we hadn't seen them use before, and it was very quick.
Mm-hmm.
Just I don't know. For some reason, it was a little unsettling.
I did like. I am a sucker for a puppeteer dead chicken.
Oh yeah, I did like that. And I will say that Frank's little opening, and my colon looked up at me and said, "Thank you, Frank." And Trace's expression, just this. Oh God. That half exasperated, half what the hell am I looking at? I'm slightly worried now.
Yeah, I
Yeah, the yeah, I do like the chicken puppet. That's
yeah, that was good. Yeah.
I mean, it was funny to begin with, and then they give it a knife. And I remember you saying that you always find puppets brandishing knives for whatever reason really funny.
Brandishing knives are like, um, I actually I need to make an animated GIF of it. That one of my favorite shots ever of Starchibald is I forget what he was reacting to, but Sonny Jim had dissed something he liked, and he's just polishing an X-Acto knife.
Oh, it was Clue.
Yeah, it was
It was something
Clue.
about Clue.
It was something about the movie Clue, and he's polishing the X-Acto knife, and that's just that's one of my favorite things I've ever done. I hate puppeteering his hands because of how he's built, but I was willing to do it and gleeful for that gag. Yeah.
I thought you did a really good job of him preparing to throw the knife
Oh,
in the 100th riff.
yeah,
I thought
yeah.
that was really well
That
done.
that was good too. Yeah. That was so awkward. I am so lucky I didn't injure myself with that. Because Starch's arms go all over the place if he has something in them because they weigh nothing, but the object that you put in his hand does. And so it
Hmm.
just becomes this like anytime I put something sharp in his hands, which happens a lot, it's just like it's like having a poorly controlled flail with a blade at the end of it while you're under it, and if it falls, it's gonna be in my face from the way it's positioned. So yeah, there are times
Which
when
is
I'll
part of why I specified that we have to cut away before he actually throws the thing.
because I would have died.
Yeah. Well, it's also funnier, it's funnier to cut away.
Yeah, but yeah, Viking women and the sea serpents that love them.
In the voyage to. I do find something that I didn't bring up earlier, and I kind of thought I should have, but I didn't see it in my notes, so it escaped my brain. The Viking women don't really do much, do they?
No, not really.
I mean, everyone is saved by Deus Ex Machina.
Well, it's either Deus Ex Machina or the fact that the brunette chick is a sorceress. And if
Yeah, and she sacrificed herself.
yeah,
Like the brunette chick led the not goals away from the main group.
mm-hmm.
So the brunette chick really is the only one to do anything effective in this whole movie.
Yeah, and if you can call down the gods to bring storms on people, you'd think that would be something you would use more often.
But yeah, it's when I remember when I first saw this, I was actually kind of thinking, wow, this might be neat. We see a bunch of Viking women, go out and avenge, and no, they just kind of stand around and talk, and then they get captured, and they stand around and talk. And there's a brief bit where main girl gets to kill the feral hog. She didn't need an AR-15 to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But then and she gets to win a arm wrestling, and then it basically gets dropped and she does nothing.
Yeah, and
Little
then it's
sister
all
freeing the men's doesn't result in anything. I mean, that plot gets foiled.
pretty much everything you would expect to happen doesn't happen. Like you would expect sexy pit fighting.
Hmm.
The Mongols don't at least not as I recall it. There wasn't any like pitting of people against each other in a death match, right?
No, no.
Okay. You normally expect that in this kind of movie. It would happen to Hercules if Hercules was on this voyage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, totally
Yeah,
happened to
there was no
Hercules.
pit fighting. There was only one Mongolish woman, and she was just there to dance and then get raped. Thank you for that. And then get killed. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and there's no there's only the one monster. You don't get a lot of monsterism. There's not a whole lot. There's not a
But
situation
you
where.
didn't even need the monster in the first part of the movie. They could have just had a storm.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, the monster didn't kill them, it just smashed their boat a little and let them live, apparently. Not a very effective monster until it attacks, you know, Flexi Jerkoff for some reason.
Well, on that end though, I think more movies would probably be better if the plot convenient storm was just replaced by a giant snake.
Hmm.
It would have definitely made Twister more interesting.
Have a giant snake there? Yeah, yeah, I can see that.
Like it's the movie Twister, but instead of tornadoes, it's giant snakes.
It definitely would have made the opening to Gilligan's Island very different.
Oh yeah, like if in Gilligan's Island they were being imprisoned by the presence of a malicious sea serpent in the ocean,
Yeah.
that would have made their escape from the island way more difficult
Mm-hmm.
and it would make a lot more sense.
I'd believe
And
them being stranded that long if they were surrounded by a giant serpent. Yeah,
yeah, and shame on the
works for
Harlem
me.
Globetrotters for never sending someone back for them.
Well, would you?
Well, the thing is, statistically, you would think at least one of the many people who came to that island would send somebody back.
Well, hell, even Baywatch attempted to rescue the others that they couldn't get on camera.
Yeah, it's like there were a lot of guest stars who were like, "Hey, there's an island." It's like, yeah, don't worry. When I get back, I'll report, and somebody will come looking for. No one is ever gonna find you. Of course, that's all explained by the oldest and most popular fan theory that I'm aware of for TV, which is that they're in
Man, they
hell.
just don't make situation comedies like that anymore. And there's probably a very good reason because most of them sucked.
The only situation comedy of that level I can think of that's around right now is The Good Place.
Hmm.
Because being dead is a situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Being in the afterlife, the situation is they're in the afterlife and there's comedy. That's a supernatural situation comedy. Like,
Hmm. Well, I guess there is the what we do in the dark,
mm-hmm.
the one based on the Taika Waititi movie.
Yeah, and the thing about situation comedies is that the situation eventually just became there's a guy whose wife is hotter than he is, but
And exasperated.
the situations used to be much wilder and weirder. Like
Mm-hmm.
like for example,
My Mother the Car.
My Mother the Car, I Dream of Jeannie, even the
Mr.
Brady
Ed.
Mr. Ed, even the Brady Bunch is for the time a sitcom because it's a massive frickin' family.
Mm-hmm.
It's like these people have enough members of their family to fill out a 9 square opening sequence, and they're not weirdly religious.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
And then of course you had situation comedies like The Munsters and The Addams Family, you know, family full of monsters, family full of weirdos, you know.
So what we're saying is that this movie would have been better if it was a situation comedy like The Munsters.
Yes, yes. Or that possibly this movie would have been better if it had been Twister but with snakes instead of
Yeah.
tornadoes. I think the key line is that this movie would have been better if it had not been this movie.
No, I will sign that change.org petition.
It's not a terrible riff, but it's not fantastic. This is one.
No, it's very middling. It's something to maybe put on in the background if you need noise.
Or watch it late in the evening when you're trying to go to sleep, so you'll make it through the short and then drift off during the serpent.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, I kept finding myself more and more distracted watching it.
uh, yeah, it was a rough one.
The movie was boring and the riff couldn't keep my attention.
Oh, I think we're in agreement on that. Um,
Yeah, like I said, I'm used to slow riffs, but I'm also used to slower riffs with a little more punch to when they finally get around to a riff. So,
yeah, yeah.
and I really need to look into our list and make sure that our next Joel era thing is not another season three. Really got to fix that.
Amazing Transparent Man is apparently the next one.
We transparent. No, the Transparent Man is a Mike era episode.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
For a minute there, I thought because that, yeah. Now, well, I'll futz with it. I'll work it out because I want to keep something at number 10. I don't want to say what it is, but I want to keep something for our 10th anniversary,
Yeah, yeah.
which we'll get to in about 3 months. No,
It's not true.
we'll get there
Um,
before then.
yeah. So, anything else that we can do? Anything else that we can talk
No, I
about?
mean the short is definitely worth watching. It's fun. The waffle sketches, your mileage may vary. I was not particularly entertained, but meh.
More entertaining if you've already seen Coily the Spring Sprite.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well,
But no, this one is kind of a eh.
yep. Sounds
It's
like
okay. It's not their worst, but it's not anywhere close to their best.
I concur. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. We will be back hopefully next week, and I really, 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 really need to pee. So
You should probably take care of that before we do these things.
I did. But anyway,
Oh dear. So while he's going and peeing, I'm going to talk smack about him. So,
all right, go right ahead.
no, or I'll just cut this off now.
All right, thank you for joining us,
Bah.
and good night and good luck.
And remember, you're a Grimaldry warrior.
For all the good it does you. Bye.
Hey, Pipples! Did you like that bit of nonsense? Well, then why don't you click like and subscribe and press that bell or whatever YouTube wants you to do?
You can also do us a big solid by joining our Patreon, where you'll get to join us for live streams, get early access to the newest videos, and other such things.